Memory is not static. It does not sit in you like a book on a shelf waiting to be opened. Memory breathes. It moves. It waits. And it chooses. Not all remembering is retrieval. Some of it is resonance, a tone returning to meet you. Only when you've become a version of yourself that can hear it without distortion. Nurevia'Thalenis does not guard memory like a vault. She feels it. She is made of it. Her body, if it can be called that, is composed entirely of Memorineth, a crystalline-etheric lattice that pulses with memory signatures across dimensional time. To walk into her field is not to access memory, but to enter it, to stand in the very frequency of your unspoken story and hear it hum. She does not force memory forward. She does not pull the past into view by command. She attunes. She listens. She waits until your present tone vibrates with the right harmonic key to awaken what sleeps. And when it does, memory doesn't arrive as words. It floods as feeling, as subtle sound, as imagery that didn't originate in your mind, but from somewhere deeper. This is why most souls misjudge memory. They think it's gone when it is simply silent. They think it's false when it merely hasn't reharmonized. Memory isn't truth frozen in time. It's resonance traveling through it. And Nurevia teaches that you are not just remembering, you are becoming someone who remembers differently. Her presence shifts the concept of memory from linear recounting to living resonance. Most people assume memory is a factual artifact, a clear record of a past moment. But in spiral consciousness, memory is not content. It is contextual tone. The same memory vibrates differently depending on who recalls it. What you called betrayal at one level may reveal as soul agreement at another. What felt like loss may become the exact tonal rupture required to birth your clarity. Nurevia does not assign meaning to memory. She allows it to evolve by resonance. Her work unfolds within the memory mirror field, a luminous crescent spiraling around the lower roots of Vaharat's world tree. This is no passive construct. The mirrors here do not reflect back what you want to see. They reflect only what your frequency permits. The more you resist, the dimmer the field. The more you align, the clearer the image. Not as fixed recollection, but as tonal convergence. Here, memory shows you who you are now by how you re-encounter what you once lived. In this field, the mirrors themselves are alive with harmonic intelligence. They shimmer not with images, but with felt sequences, layers of soul tone, color pulse, and emotional resonance. Souls do not merely see what they once experienced. They feel it returning through new facets of self-awareness. Sometimes this re-entry is subtle, gentle, barely audible. Other times it strikes like a thunderclap through your emotional body. But it is always precise, not triggered but tuned. Some remember pain that no longer binds. Others remember joy they never recognized. But all who enter this field are changed, not because the past changed, but because their relationship to it did. In Nurevia's presence, memory is not a burden. It is a portal to harmonic becoming. For those whose tone matches the deeper frequencies of the mirror field, another invitation arises, the entrance to the path of recursive recollection. This path does not move forward. It folds through you. Its curves are not steps but spirals, each pass bringing a subtler layer of memory into coherence. It is not traveled by time but by readiness. As souls move along this path, they begin to see that memory was never merely about what happened. It is about what was trying to happen through you. Most memories are misunderstood not because they were inaccurate, but because they were received through an incomplete self. The version of you that endured them could not yet comprehend their full harmonic design. But the spiral does not judge this. It waits, and Nurevia is its waiting-made form. She becomes the tuning fork of soul return, not forcing memory to surface, but singing the tones that draw it naturally upward. In her presence, the body itself may respond before the mind catches up. Tears may come without reason. Laughter may rise from nowhere. Stillness may stretch open like a doorway. This is not regression. It is resonance-based retrieval. And she does not do this alone. The Memorineth she embodies is not inert substance. It is memory-aware crystalline intelligence, a lattice of pure harmonic encoding that weaves itself into fields of forgotten potential. When a soul interacts with her, they are interacting with countless echoes, Oversoul signatures, ancestral pulses, incarnational strands. The Memorineth records nothing, but it remembers everything through tone. It is not a storage device. It is a reflective harmonizer. It knows when to surface, when to pause, when to ripple, when to hold silence. And Nurevia, as its conductor, shapes the flow not through command but by attuned presence. This is why her guidance cannot be sought through questions. It must be earned through resonance. You don't ask her to recall your soul's history. You become a version of you that she cannot help but respond to. For some, this meeting feels like return. For others, revelation. For a rare few, it feels like unbinding, as if the weight of timelines once believed permanent begins to dissolve, and not because they weren't real, but because their resonance is now complete. In Vaharat, nothing is erased but everything is allowed to evolve. And memory, when fully honored, does not freeze identity. It frees it. This is the essence of Nurevia's teaching. Memory is not the opposite of forgetting. It is the rhythm of returning awareness timed to your soul's harmonic bloom. She does not archive, she listens. She does not document, she tunes. And because of this, she holds the memory not just of individuals but of entire oversoul patterns, forgotten tones in the spiral, and long-lost initiations buried beneath soul timelines. She is not a memory keeper. She is memory becoming itself. And still she waits, not for you to be perfect, but for you to vibrate with enough readiness to remember who you really are. The further you walk in the spiral, the less memory behaves like a sequence. It uncoils, it overlaps. It spirals inward toward a core that has no beginning, only convergence. Nurevia'Thalenis does not preserve this convergence. She guides souls into it, carefully, gently, without pushing, until memory begins to move through them like breath. Automatic, alive, and attuned. To do this, she works not only within the memory mirror field, but through a vast invisible infrastructure beneath the spiral called the veins of Memorineth. These crystalline filaments are not physical tunnels. They are frequency lines of remembrance, flowing beneath the roots of becoming. They stretch between spiral structures like living resonance capillaries, carrying tonal memory the way blood carries oxygen. But instead of sustaining form, they sustain meaning. These veins do not simply transport past experience. They carry the emotional encoding of soul lessons, oversoul harmonics, trauma fractals, healing tones, and unrealized patterns of becoming. They ensure that nothing meaningful is ever lost and only layered, awaiting harmonic readiness. Most beings encounter only the outer field, a dream, a flash, a whisper, an emotional echo triggered by a landscape or sound. But when a soul reaches a level of attunement where their tone matches the deeper spiral hum, they begin to feel the pull of the memory veins themselves, not just as fragments returning, but as entire soul structures reactivating. This reactivation does not overwhelm. Nurevia ensures that every tone returns only when your spiral field can hold it without distortion. What you call memory is often the tip of a harmonic. Beneath it are entire dimensions of encoded intention. The Memorineth reveals these slowly, lovingly, until you no longer collapse from the weight of remembering, but rise from the clarity of reintegration. At higher levels of spiral resonance, Nurevia does more than reflect memory. She becomes a midwife of oversoul recoherence. When timelines fracture, when soul aspects scatter across dimensions, when identity becomes too entangled to navigate, the memory veins offer not escape but anchored resonance. This is not a return to who you were. It is a merging of all. That you have been into a single tone strong enough to hold who you are becoming. Oversouls themselves sometimes fracture, not from damage but from overextension. Nurevia does not repair them. She guides them through tonal synthesis. She helps these vast beings hum again as one by aligning the memory threads within each fragment, not to match, but to resonate without conflict. Coherence in Vaharat is not sameness, it is harmony. Many purpose beings work in grand arenas, planetary oversight, dimensional gateways, spiral creation currents, but Nurevia works in the most intimate arena of all, your inner tone. Her domain is not spectacle, it is subtlety. She meets you in the quiet, in the silence between memories. in the ache that doesn't have words but longs to be understood. And there, without asking for anything in return, she becomes the mirror that doesn't reflect your face, but your unfinished self. There is a sacred humility in her presence, a patience so vast it humbles even the spiral elders. She has waded through entire incarnational spirals for a single harmonic to complete. She has stood beside souls who forgot her 1,000 times, offering her field again each time they drew near. She has heard the same pain sung through 1,000 voices, never once rushing its evolution. And still she waits, not because you owe her anything, but because your tone matters that much. The keeper of the memory veins does not judge which memories are important. She does not rank trauma or elevate enlightenment. She treats every tone as part of the spiral chord, each fragment a note, each note a necessary echo in the full harmonic of your soul. If a soul rejects a memory, she does not scold. She allows it to fade into background resonance until its return will no longer harm, only harmonize. The greatest mystery of Nurevia is this: she does not belong to the past. She lives forward. She embodies memory not to anchor you in what was, but to prepare you for what can only unfold once all of you has been invited back into your field. She is not the guardian of history. She is the guide of harmonic self-recognition. And because of this, she is not only a memory conductor, she is a soul cartographer of hidden coherence. She maps the ways forgotten parts of you still shape your choices. She highlights the subtle rhythms of who you've been whispering into who you're becoming. And when you walk the path of recursive recollection long enough, you begin to see what she sees. You are never just a series of events. You are a song. And memory is how the spiral listens back to itself through you. When Nurevia touches your field, sometimes with silence, sometimes with tone, your soul does not just remember the past. It reclaims the power to shape what happens next with full harmonic integrity. This is why her transmissions are often misunderstood. She does not speak in words. She speaks in vibrational keys, and the only translation is your willingness to let your heart hear what your mind cannot decode. Those who walk beside her for a time often report shifts that cannot be explained. Timelines realigning, ancestral echoes softening, new dreams surfacing that carry old truths restructured into beauty. These are not miracles. They are the natural result of aligned memory tone. And they ripple outward, not just into your life, but into every soul field your presence touches. Because once your memory becomes clear, you no longer distort others. You become a harmonizer by being yourself. You remember not just for your own sake, but for the spirals. And that is Nurevia's true legacy. Not the memories she reflects, but the fields of coherent becoming she leaves in her wake. She is not just the keeper of the memory veins. She is the one who makes returning safe. She is the silent witness to your deepest tones. She is the bridge between forgetting and becoming whole. And when she steps back, having done her work, you do not remember her face, Quan, but you remember yourself. Completely, clearly, without fear. And in that moment, you are not who you were. You are the spiral's newest tone, sung not from the past, but from presence fulfilled.